Greetings one and all, this is Rhythmworks and welcome to my channel, and I would like to say, as part of the Big Up video series, the Fight Night Champion Edition, I'd like to welcome you, one of the new rising star players of the game and one of the leading contributors to the Fight Night community. Please welcome none other than KiDDRaY8. Please make yourself welcome to the world, bro.
What's up, YouTube?
Hey, it's all blessed, it's all blessed. I'd just like to ask you some questions real quick. First of all, I would like to ask you, when was your first introduction to the series and what installment did you actually start playing in the Fight Night series?
Well, it all started back when I was a lot younger. I played Fight Night Round 3 at a friend's house, and I really enjoyed the game just due to the fact that as a person who really enjoyed watching boxing at the time, considering the fact I'm not a boxer, I thought I would get into the video games because that is one thing that I'm good at. So playing the game as a younger, at an adolescent, I really got into tune with just playing Fight Night Round 3. I saw when Round 4 came out, however, I didn't purchase it. But Fight Night Champion, I heard about it a year later after the installment, after it's been released. So after I heard about it and I pretty much got back into boxing again, I went ahead and I bought Champion, and that's pretty much how I got started into playing Fight Night.
Upon playing Fight Night Champion, what were the things about Fight Night Champion that you really liked about the game?
Well, one thing that I really liked about the game was the online play, just playing some people in OWC, meeting some of the faces that I did on the game, like DJs and some other players, Doughboy78, just interacting with different people and learning different strategies and just seeing how the game has really evolved from almost like a 2D sense in Round 3 and Round 4 to more of a 3D version of the game where you're able to move around more and you can do different things with the boxer, just power modification, all the features that's just been added to the game is one thing that I really liked about the game. I also liked the champion mode. It wasn't too bad. I believe it was the first game that had a champion mode in it, basically like a storyline to the game. And even though it had some flaws in the story at times felt incomplete, I really enjoyed the champion mode as well. Unfortunately, I didn't purchase Bare Knuckles mode. I never really got into it. I was really just an OWC fighter, and now I'm really just starting to get into head-to-head and learn some of the ropes and just the differences between the two game modes.
Oh yeah, absolutely, because with head-to-head, obviously with the licensed fighters, their stats stay the same, so it's really based on one skill set, how one progresses within that to increase their record and to better their record. So yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, obviously from likes to dislikes, what are your dislikes?
Well, there's a couple of things that, normally everybody's list of dislikes is a lot longer than their likes, and it's the same with me. Dislikes about the games: I don't like the legacy mode. I feel that the text via text message and no cutscenes in the game is a little old school Need for Speed mode for one to age, and they definitely could have improved on that note. I don't like the OP characters or the overpowered characters like Mike Tyson, or people being able to use Isaac Frost, or Ray Robinson just being a major problem in some of the head-to-head games. I don't like the overpowered Pernell Whitaker and Lightweight. Those are just characters just particularly in the game that I don't like in the head-to-head mode, and just how people spam straight right, or they use spam sidestep right uppercuts, or basically anybody who exploits the game and doesn't really play it in a sim-like style, or looks for the easy way out of the game by cheesing instead of being a good solid competitor like the game was meant to be designed for. Another dislike that I don't like about the game is just some of the, as well as I like the interaction with people, some of the interaction with people is also negative, which is what you get with any online gameplay that you play. But other than that, I don't really have any more dislikes besides that. One last thing, probably the auto block is I'm not a huge fan of it either.
Yeah, that makes two of us. I mean, for me, I actually made a video, Fight Night Round 4 Revisited, and I actually picked up the game and started playing Round 4 for the first time in a long time. And I've got to say, one of the features that I really felt comfortable with was the blocking system within that game, because obviously you have to use the R1 button and the right analog stick to move your direction, your block direction up or down before you can even throw a punch. And I think, you know, I can't explain it. It's like, you know, with using those two particular controls, it really felt like you was actually doing the block for real. You know, that's definitely one of the features that I missed from Champion. Can I ask you, do you use buttons or sticks, or do you use a combination of both?
I use a combination of the button and stick. I feel that the stick can at times be very inaccurate. For example, if you go to throw jabs, sometimes it will throw the 1-2 punch as if you flick the right analog stick up. Or if you go for an overhand left, sometimes it will throw a jab. Sometimes you look to throw the overhand right and it will throw it straight. So at times I feel it can be inaccurate, especially with the uppercuts. I get countered quite a bit trying to throw a left uppercut and comes out as a rip. And also with the bob and weave, sometimes you try to sidestep and that becomes bob and weave when you're just trying to move to your left or to your right. But I normally use the buttons to throw straights and hooks, and I use the on the right stick in order to throw uppercuts.
Yeah, that's probably the standard way that a lot of people basically configure their fight movements. I'd like to come back to the issue of spamming, if you will. Now,
Sure.
I've heard your point, and other people who play the game that unwittingly spam or intentionally spam could basically argue that, well, if the game was basically made right in the way that it was supposed to be made, we wouldn't be able to basically spam. What do you basically say to that? I mean, because obviously, I mean, what I've noticed, not only in Fight Night Champion, but in a lot of video games, that when people start playing the game, the first thing they basically try to do is to find an exploit within the game or cheat the game, as opposed to just going through the ranks and just trying to reach the level as best way they can. I mean, with Fight Night Champion, in particular, one of my gripes was actually the XP situation where people was able to buy XP, and my thing was, well, how can you buy experience when you never had the experience to play the game in the first place? So that kind of gave rise to people just basically just maxing out their XP and what have you. So that kind of lent towards finding exploits and finding ways to cheat the game, you know. And not only the spamming as well, but there's issues with like flag glitching and boosting and all that kind of stuff as well, without even, you know, even touching on that too tough. So what says you?
No, I feel that the flag glitching especially, that is a major issue. There's really no objective for playing the game, at least the OWC mode anymore. Most people don't, most of the good players already quit, or most people already fended off of the game just due to the constant offenses of people belt glitching. They're not, basically, for people who don't know, the belt glitch is basically where you fight an opponent and they have the championship belt. Win and you will not receive the belt just due to the fact that it is basically like freezing your account when you have the belt. I'm not going to say how to do it because I wouldn't want any more people to do it that's already doing it. And EA has attempted to fix the problem, but to no avail that it has worked. Now, what I say to the people out there who feel it's justified to spam these type of exploits that you found in the game, that is incorrect. I feel that for those people out there who do that, they do it to be a troll, or they do it just because they rather not fight a sim-like style. They find it easy to get easy wins by just exploiting the game with the side step right uppercut or the back step straight, or just doing things just because you feel it works. The block isn't suited in order for you to be able to defend against these type of tactics. So by you sidestepping or spamming these type of combinations and punches, you're only proving that you're more of why everybody hates you. Everybody doesn't hate you because they feel that it's justified and you have a certain skill level. They feel that you're just taking the easy way out of the game. For example, you guys ever play Madden? There's a glitch on Madden where you change from all from the offside kick to the regular kickoff, and it would freeze all the boxes and all the players in different spaces, and they will run in space. That is a glitch. That doesn't mean just because you have 125 wins and 0 losses that you earn those wins. No, it just means that you took advantage of a glitch that was in the system, and that's how you win your games. If you go to any tournament or anything like that and you try it, you would be immediately disqualified because you're just looking for the easy way out of things.
Well, that's very concise, and and for new people who are trying to basically get into the game, I think it's a good thing that you are doing in highlighting the pros and cons of the game. I mean, it's been done so many times before, but I think with the new generation of Fight Night players, I think it's a good thing where the community is being built up not only with the new school but the old school as well, and with the new school teaching the old school and the old school teaching the new school in terms of how they can make the game better, I think would stand in good stead for the next Fight Night game as a whole, because I think I think things need to kind of really level out on that score in relation to the game, because I think if it carries on like this, not only do I think that the game won't be good, but I just think people will just veer away from boxing games altogether, because in reality it's like, with MMA and UFC, those sports are basically building in notoriety, and with EA in particular, they've jumped quick on the bandwagon to be a part of the MMA thing as well. So that's just giving indication as to where their mindset is, rather, in terms of promoting and building another sports game aside of boxing. So it's important for people like yourself and the Fight Night community to kind of level out the playing field, and to make people be educated as to how the game should be and how we should play the game to maximize and optimize the enjoyment that we can get from it. Absolutely.
I feel the exact same way. I don't think EA is like greedy in terms, well, it is with all the XP and stuff being purchased. I think that they are greedy for money in some sense, but that's just with anything in life, of how people tend to move towards. For example, if you look at music, people tend to follow trending artists versus maybe artists who are starting to get older, or there's a certain clothing style people tend to go with what's new and fresh versus what's old. So I think it's just more of a business decision, but at the same time, I believe EA does kind of contradict themselves in the way that they go about promoting different games.
I mean, hand on heart, do you think EA will be the company to take Fight Night to the next level, or do you think another company will take over?
No, I find it funny that you asked that, because I had a discussion about this earlier. And I noticed one thing about EA is that whenever a new Fight Night comes out, there's always major changes done to it. For example, when you went from round 4 to champion, there's so many major changes that have to come along. In round 3 to round 4, there's changes that just keep coming along in order to try to make the game better. And for the most part, I do believe that they do listen to the community, but every game has flaws in it. But in terms of another company taking over the EA Sports license for boxing, if there was any company to take over, I'd probably see maybe 2K Sports doing it, just due to how well they make NBA 2K11 and how good they did with the Madden series that unfortunately got canceled out. But I see 2K can probably make a really, really good boxing game, just due to the fact of how well the commentary and everything flows together, just the graphics on the game, the different features that's in the game. I feel that 2K could probably make a pretty good boxing game as well. But I don't see EA going anywhere anytime soon when it comes to making the boxing games, because they do a pretty good job for the most part.
Let me ask you another question. In terms, I know Fight Night is a roster-led game, and a lot of talk has been directed in relation to the omission of a Mr. Floyd Mayweather. Now, do you think that another Fight Night game can indeed for want of a better word, survive without Floyd Mayweather, considering the fact that, you know, there was so much uproar with his omission. And, you know, there was obvious reasons as to why, but do you think, you know, in light of recent events, that the game can really stand up without the likes of money?
I think the game can stand up without Floyd. Unfortunately, most people would like to see him in the game. I'm not the biggest Floyd Mayweather fan out there. I do believe he's quite overrated. But I can see the game still surviving really, really well if they don't add Floyd to it. What I've heard on the subject matter is that Floyd wanted more money than what they offered him, and that is the reason he's in the game, that he's not in the game. But in terms of the rosters, I think they need to add a lot more fighters into the game. There's so many good fighters that's in the sport today that should be implemented into the game, even if it's just fighters that maybe nobody hasn't heard of, but they're a good prospect at the moment. You can do kind of like an amateur thing where you have different boxers and people who's on the uprise, and or maybe have like 15 wins or on national television, like Austin Trout. He's just now getting his name out there, but you can already tell he's going to have a good career, and he's just going to be able to sustain himself as his career goes on. But in terms of playing Fight Night without Floyd, I think it varies to what people are looking for and what they're not looking for.
Absolutely.
I think as long as they get more fighters into the game, that people will be satisfied.
I hear that. It's part of the course. Okay, now which kind of neatly leads me to the question of your hopes for the next installment of Fight Night. I mean, we've discussed this before in a prior interview that unfortunately we couldn't finish because of technical problems. But you were very detailed in relation to, you know, what you would like to see in the next Fight Night. So please just let the people know and let them share the knowledge too.
Okay, starting with, I don't think the game really needs a champion mode. I think it was a nice addition to the game. However, I felt they put way too much time into champion mode, which they could have spent improving the online gameplay or just improving the entire game as a system and as a whole together. I think that is something that needs to be fixed. I feel that the footwork patterns for the different boxers in the game need to be set towards their style. For example, you got an inside fighter. He shouldn't be able to move as fast on the outside as an outside fighter, which would then force his opponent to come forward, which his style is not suited to. And if you try to land punches on him with 98 strength and 98 toughness, your fighter would be at a disadvantage. So I feel that a footwork pattern should be implemented into the game in order to allow players to fight the style that they've been designed to, and it will cut a lot of the cheese out that most people try to do. I also feel that the auto block needs to be taken out of the game and go back to the system of round 3 and round 4. I didn't play round 4, so I don't know the system of blocking, but I did hear it was pretty good. I feel the auto block being taken out of the game and the regular block being put into the game will solve every single spamming problem that there is in the game. If you know your opponent is going to constantly throw the straight right, then you'll be able to block manually to the opponent throwing the straight right. If he's going to throw an uppercut, you know he's going to throw an uppercut. So therefore, you just hold your block to the direction of which punch he is spamming, and I'll hold all the spammers accountable for what they're doing. I'll also hold the outside fighters accountable to fight their type of style with the footwork, is due to the fact that they won't be able to choose a different type of fighter, and it will really require them to have a certain level of skill. I also think that the punch system, instead of having a generic Tyson brand or a generic Ali brand or a Hay brand, Foreman, all those different fighters, I feel that like 2K Sports, how they have with NBA, where you can choose your different dribble types, your release, how you release your shots, you know, which hand you're dominant with, all these different things. I feel that if you implement that into Fight Night, where you have, for example, there's 5 different types of jabs that I at least know about. You got flickers, the regular jab, you got the Ali jab, you know, all those different types of jab. I feel that you should be able to customize your boxer into that sense of he can fight in that, with that type of punch if you feel more comfortable throwing that one than if you didn't. Also feel they need to bring the cut man system back into the game like it was in round 3, where you're able to, you know, get a Q-tip or, you know, the thing they use to fix the swelling down in your boxer, and, you know, customize and be able to fix them up instead of it just giving you all the recovery that you get per round. I feel, you know, you should still be held accountable if you go out there and you throw 300 and change punches in a round or spam your right hand. I feel that you should also be held accountable for that. But you should be held accountable for fixing your boxer. If you ever noticed when you sit in the corner and you're looking at your guy and he has 2 bad cuts, he's leaking right in front of you. And you see the blood dripping on his chest and he's just shaking his head. I feel that needs to be something that's fixed where you're able to fix it yourself. Also feel that they should add a spectator mode into the game where you can have other players,
Definitely.
can watch. They can watch, you know, other fighters that may want to go at it or whatnot. And they should add a feature into the game how, not that I'm still on a biting off of NBA 2K, where you can have the blacktop game mode and you can add 2 other players. I feel that there should be a game mode where you're able to add a cut man and a trainer in order to give you advice. You mentioned in our private interview how you spoke with, we was watching the stream for Boxing IQ 101, the Money Team Productions on Ustream, and you saw how whenever he was fighting, he had, I believe it was his brother or some member of his family, you know, instructing him or telling him, you know, what he wants to see him do or how to interact with that type of thing. And if you invite players, you know, from your own party, it shouldn't be a public thing. But if you invite people from your own party, you should be able to, they should be able to tell you what you need to fix or, you know, just what things would be accurate rather than trying to have a computer simulate went through the round and try to figure out good training advice. Because in this game, all they tell you is that you're not throwing your jab. You're not giving me the double jab. And people might be throwing all jabs all around, and it's not teaching them anything more than what they need to learn. I feel they also need to improve the training aspect of the game. Instead of showing a bunch of combinations that pop up regularly on the screen from the heavy bag, you need to have a system where they actually teach you combinations that would be effective or inside fighter like, just based off real life, that you can implement into your own game. And, you know, maybe you can have like a mid-punching routine where, you know, if you're an inside fighter, your trainer will put the mitts up and they will highlight in different ways or just different ways you should punch the mitts. And, you know, you move around the ring in a fashion that will cut off an outside fighter, for example, if you're an inside fighter. And this way it would train you into learning how to fight in certain situations with different types of boxers. And that will also improve people just knowing how to play the game and not just copying something that they see or being influenced by something that may be effective in a fight. I also think for maybe for a last thing, that they need to, you know how Madden has the Madden Challenge at the end of the year with like a $400,000 prize for, you know, for the winner. Fight Night is a one-on-one, mano-a-mano based skilled game where if you mess up or you screwed up, it's your fault. There's no AI involved. There's no computer simulated thing to help you out, or like on Madden or 2K where, you know, you can pass the computer to the ball, you can set up a different type of defense. And Fight Night is based on what you do, how effective you do it, and what you can do to your opponent. And by having that type of tournament go down, it would probably attract more players to the game. Maybe not all skilled players, but, you know, it'll help build a more competitive community and, you know, really give somebody something that they actually earned and really require you to be recognized as the best in the world. Those are just a few things I feel should be implemented into the game in order to make it better.
A few. I would say your insight is deep, wide, and broad, my friend. The XP. What do you think about the XP? I mean, obviously, I you know how my feelings are with the XP. I mean, you know, obviously I know that your answer is going to be short and sweet. So, do you think that XP should basically be allowed to be bought?
No, I don't believe XP should be allowed to be bought. I feel if you want to become a better boxer or you want to do things better, you got to put the time and effort and training into it, just like a real boxer would be in real life. He can't take a magical drink, you know, all of a sudden he's been taught defense or his reflexes just got better. You know, that's just how I feel in the game. You should earn what you get and work for what you earn.
it has been said to me through their knowledge of yourself and through them watching your videos, especially, and your passion of the game, seeing as that you don't come from a boxing background, that they think that you should really be an integral part of the community by actually being a moderator on EA, on the Fight Night forums for the next edition. How do you feel about that?
I would definitely consider being a moderator for EA. I will tell them how to make the best boxing game ever created if they give me a chance. I feel I can pretty much serve the main group of what people might want to see or changes that might be going to be done. I feel if you're going to get advice from anybody, it's the people who actually play the game, because they know what's glitchy, what's to be like and what's not to be like. And I do have a lot of passion for this game, and I feel that it can be evolved into something much greater and probably the best boxing game to ever be created.
Well, that would be very interesting to see some new blood, as it were, take up the fold, and and help to level out the playing field of the Fight Night series, and actually just bring it up another notch into the next phase of consoles as well. My final question to you would be, is there any way that people can get a hold of you, that they can link you, invite you to be their gaming friend, whatever?
Well, you guys can always hit me up on my main account, KiDDRaY8 on PSN, or you guys can just leave a comment on one of my videos. I reply to all my comments. If you leave a comment, you will be answered. I just feel that as a community person, if you guys ever want to know anything or have a question for me, those are the ways that you can get, and those are the ways you can contact me, is by my PSN, my YouTube channel.
Well, KiDDRaY, it has been enlightening and it's been a pleasure to be talking with you today, and in fact sharing your wealth of knowledge of Fight Night Champion from the time you've been playing it up to today. I want to thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule in talking to us today, and I hope to see you in the ring. And I just ask you one thing: please don't hurt me too hard, please.
Thanks, buddy. I really enjoyed the interview.
Yeah, you're more than welcome.
Thank you guys for watching.
Thank you very much, KiDDRaY. Have a good day.
All right, you too, man.
All right, bye-bye.